All right, YouTube, what is going on? It is Anthony. This is Mike. Anger Management Podcast. Guys, I know we've been messing around with some stuff here. You've probably seen us on trying to test them, things out. Whole bunch of new stuff going on with these with kinds of technology and all this stuff that we normally don't deal with all the damn time. Unfortunately, new update on this OBS stuff that I do, and you know, we were trying to get set up on different things to try to use so that we can still stream for you guys, this and that. But I think we got it set up, so hopefully everything is good. Mike, how are things going? How's everything been?
Well, I could tell you this, folks. I absolutely hate technology. If I had to rely on technology, I would be dead. Just kidding. This is ridiculous.
It's crazy how I know.
But
Seriously,
like Anthony and I were just talking about. Props to those individuals, female and male,
yeah, that do this every day.
who do this. And then if something happens during a live event and they got to scramble to resolve the problem, I'll tell you what, that's pretty amazing. So I have renewed respect for those individuals that deal in technology and making things work.
No lie, because this is. It's part of this is why we haven't been on too, folks. Like some of it is the fact that what's been going on here. We haven't been able to set up, try to get things going. Been trying to look up stuff. Also, Mike had some technical difficulties with his stuff, things like that too.
Not a tornado, but
Oh, gee. He did have some. He did. He got hit with a tornado out there, folks. So big ups to Mike here. He's here after tornado season. This and that. But we are back. Guys, we may not have a huge long stream. Luckily, we got some stuff going on here. We'll get into some stuff here. There's been a lot since we've been on last. I mean, obviously, the finals are here now. We want to try to get a little bit of, we've been a little bit stuck on some of the college stuff. College softball's in. Like I said, finals is here. So much stuff going on, obviously, with the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark stuff going on. Obviously, they just, Indiana Fever Sky played last night, yesterday afternoon, I guess is what it was. Caitlin's been out with an injury, though, so she did not play in this game, but the Heat still won by, I believe, what was it, like somewhere in double digits. Reese, 4 points only, 12 rebounds. Has not shined against them, right? Playing the Fever. Now, Mike, is this let's just kind of dive right into this a little bit, but is this an issue right now, where is it that Reese just can't play against the Fever? Are the Fever just a better team? Or is it a mixture of both? I mean, you hear so much criticism about them, both that, in both ways, where Reese isn't that good of a player, or, just Caitlin's just better. But Caitlin wasn't on the court. She had nothing to do with this, right? I mean, there's nothing she could do to cause any issues. Obviously, we know the first game that they played against each other, there was the whole thing about the hard foul, which I thought it was a basketball play myself. I didn't think it was a hard foul or anything like that. So here's what it is what it is. So what do you think, though, Mike?
No, I think it's again, you go back to, when Caitlin went out, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they lost the next 3 games without her. Yet, and I believe this is either her 4th game missed, maybe it's her 5th. Again, Anthony and I have been sort of disconnected here briefly, folks. But regardless, again, Caitlin not playing in this game. Reese is playing, she started, obviously. And 4 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. And again, I joked with Anthony earlier today that, she had 12 rebounds, but how many shots did she probably take to get those 12 rebounds? She probably took 35 to 40 shots just to get the rebounds that she did get. So it's just a lack, for me anyway, it's just a lack of skill set. She doesn't have it. She worked in the offseason with one person in particular, and that was Lisa Leslie, a Hall of Famer from the WNBA, folks. It's been, the majority of her career, if not all of it, with the LA, Sparks. So, did you not take that seriously? I've seen videos where she supposedly was watching, Lisa show her how to do certain things. I just think ultimately with Angel, it comes back to, and we talked about this on one of the previous podcasts, but she's just not a talented basketball player. She was buffered by a lot of things when she was down there at LSU. And I think the coaching staff and the players around her were able to buffer that. And I think a lot of the interest generates from the fact that she's an attractive girl, but I think more of what we're seeing now is what she does off the court than on the court. I mean, she's got all these different platforms that she is selling for or modeling for. Every pregame at any WNBA game now is a photo shoot. It's a runway walk, and I just saw the one that led up to yesterday's game where she walks into the arena looking like she has on a fur coat, and black boots, and black.
Oh, she was posing for them too.
Yeah, and so at what point do you put aside? I understand what you do in the off season. That's up to you. Go knock yourself out if you're talented. But if you're struggling to perform and contribute, then you better be in there, working on your game. And that's what I thought she was doing with Lisa Leslie. Well, apparently it went in one ear and out the other because we really haven't seen any, progression in her game from last season to this season. I mean, Chicago stinks. They're one of the worst teams in the WNBA. They have a new coach, all these other things, but from what I hear, there's enough talent there to at least be better than the record suggests or shows. And part of this is because, for me, Angel just can't play.
Yes.
Bottom line, she can't play. I don't think she prioritizes basketball. I don't think it's a priority for her, period. And even if that changed, I just don't think the skill set is there. Yeah, she can get you rebounds, but rebounds aren't going to win you basketball games. You've got to be on 2 assists, 4 points. That's it. And you're getting blown out. You're getting absolutely dismantled. And that's the other part of this season for Chicago is they're getting dismantled. When they lose, they're losing.
They are.
It's not 2 points. It's 20. It's 20.
I'm with you.
I mean, so everything that's there visually says this isn't going to work. And you can ship her off to another team if you want to. And I fully believe Chicago will. This isn't going to run its course. And Chicago, if they really are invested in winning, they're going to have to transition out, and they're going to have to either let her go or just trade her because it's not working. Yeah. But it's not going to work with another team either because Angel does not have the skill set to be a successful basketball player. They keep, and I don't know why they go back to, she's one of the images this league is built around. Well, if that's the case, then you're embarrassing yourself.
Absolutely.
Caitlin and a number of the other ladies out there are heavy contributors to what their teams do and the league does. This girl is not. It's everything but basketball. And
and for me, it's one of those things too. I haven't watched as much. I did watch obviously the first game, and I loved what I seen from the Fever team, right? Because that Fever team, they are. Right now, they're in between as far as how good they can be, right? From last year, they were terrible. Caitlin bumped them up. They got to the playoffs, fine, whatever. This year, they made a whole lot of moves, right? They went and got DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, I believe, too. Yeah. Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin seem to be on the same track. Mitchell is really good. She's another great point guard that can shoot from the outside. I think they are on their way up. Now they are, I believe, after that game, they're 4-4, 5-4. I can't remember what it was. Obviously, the Sky, I think they've only won 2 games so far this season. It seems like once Angel's gotten in, the Sky's decreased. Caitlin's come in and she's increased what Indiana's done.
The numbers prove that out. The numbers prove that out. When she's in the game, it becomes more about what she's doing and less about what her teammates are doing. So point production declines. When she's off the court, point increases. So everything seems to increase. It's almost like she's a distraction. She's a detriment to what they're trying to do on court. Whereas, again, New York is a phenomenal basketball team. They're often one of the best starts, if not the best start in WNBA history. Minnesota's right there. And, Indiana was right there. Is the 3rd or 4th best team in basketball. And again, with Caitlin being out right now, we all knew they were going to struggle when she comes back. If everything is copacetic, they're going to continue to improve. They'll get right back in track and probably wind up 3rd or 4th at the end of the season as overall standings headed into the playoffs. Yeah. But Chicago shows that numbers-wise, they show on paper, on the stats, that when Angel's in the game, it's a detriment to the team as a whole. And if that doesn't scream volumes to you as a coach and as an ownership group and even a fan base, wow, I don't know what to tell you. You got to move past what she does, on the court or off the
Yeah,
court.
because
What's not
I know
happening.
Chicago, they got a new coach, right? He's a first year coach with them, I believe. But here's my thing: when I watch this, and I feel like and it's hard. I get it. I don't know how it is with the WNBA, but what I've seen from Angel Reese is nothing but hold on. As soon as she gets that ball, it's going nowhere but wherever she like. It's going either she's trying to cross over, she's trying to get to the basket, she's gonna just jack it up. Like once it touches her hands, it's going in. It's going up to the basket. That's all I see. And she's either gonna attempt to try to get to the rack, she's gonna just shoot the ball, whatever it may be. She does not assist the ball. She does not move the ball around. But the problem is she's not your ball handler. She doesn't handle. She's not your point guard. She needs to be down on the block. She needs to post up. She's very good inside. She's tall. She's a lot taller than a lot of these girls inside. She knows how to use her body inside to rebound, to move people out on the block. That's where she needs to be. But here's the thing is, we've talked about this before. Everybody knows this. And this goes to the NBA game now. Everybody wants to sit outside that little ring and shoot the ball from the outside. Everybody wants to shoot threes. It's 3-ball, 3-ball, 3-ball. And I am so sick and tired of constantly having to deal with 3-ball, 3-ball, 3. And especially her, she's not a 3-ball. She makes it one every 40 times, right?
Yeah.
Because she struggles to even make it underneath the basket to make it. That's how she gets most of her rebounds. So for me, it's like you have a good team around you. There's good players there. Her and Cardoso inside can really be some twin towers. They could really make. I mean, when I say that, I mean I'm not saying as good as maybe like a Duncan Robinson type thing, but inside those two can be really good. They're tall. They play great defense. They control the paint. They should be inside getting offensive rebounds like crazy and going right back up. Both of them should be getting double-doubles a night. And I don't see that from them. And I don't see this coach taking over and saying, Angel, if you get the ball up top, it does not... And you just have to go to her and say, you don't have to go and lay in. Hey, just because you get it up at the top and they don't come after you does not mean you have to shoot it. Okay? You can still work the ball around, keep the ball moving, get a better shot than... that top of the key 3. There's a reason that you're open, Angel. Like, you don't want to be mean about it, but sometimes you just gotta. There's a reason you're open because you don't hit that shot.
Yeah,
you don't hit it. So these people, these other players, especially if it's a smaller guard on her, of course they're gonna drop back because they gotta get better position on her to get that defensive rebound if she misses. So and then if she doesn't get position. Angel's going to get better position, and that's the thing is, I'm not trying to break her down, but she's a tremendous rebounder. She might be one of the best rebounders in the WNBA, honestly. I think she's great. We've talked about this before, Mike, over and over. She is basically a Dennis Rodman, and I don't understand what's wrong with that. Why wouldn't you? What's so wrong? I mean, I get how he was outside of the game, but I'm talking about just the player, Dennis Rodman, just the ball player, not all his antics off, all this and that. But she could be him, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but see, here's the other problem: is she's bought into the hype and the idea that she's this multi-dimensional player.
True.
She's got shooting ability. Yeah, she can rebound if she's underneath the basket. I get all that, but so she's bought into this hype. It's not even deserved because she hasn't earned any of it. It's just hype. But the problem also becomes that, and I see this all the time with her because you get on YouTube, everybody gets on YouTube and TikTok and all those things. I can't even begin to tell you, and you and I shared these. I can't begin to tell you how many videos I see of Angel Reese, either on TikTok or on Facebook, and she's doing a video with a friend, or she's in her hotel room, or she's in her apartment. Or she's at some
but the unfortunate part about this, Mike, is we're in the social media era.
Yeah, but my point is that I guarantee you, you're not seeing as many of these from Caitlin Clark as you are Angel Reese. And I'm
Well,
not using
but
both
here's the thing.
just as the
Here, but
two
okay, but
examples.
there's the reason why. Okay, Caitlin Clark has the Mamba mentality, the Air Jordan mentality that
Yeah,
you want to be the greatest ever. Caitlin Clark has the Juju Smith Schuster mentality. Hit me up for the TikTok. Do this. Now. We're unfortunate we're at a time right now because here's the thing. I feel like even if Kobe played during during this era, I mean it wasn't long like where we're at
yeah.
now with social media, but he has social media there. Jordan didn't have social media like that, right?
Mhm.
But if those two were playing right now, those guys would not be on TikTok. He would not be on X, Twitter, whatever. He would not be on Facebook. They would not be doing that if they were ball players right now because they would be focused on the game. Same thing with Caitlin. She's focused. Yes, Caitlin does certain things. She is at certain places. She shows up. She's at the
Yeah,
Knicks Pacers game.
yeah,
She's showing out for Indiana, which is great.
yeah.
That's fine. But what you're talking about here, she's trying to be the face of the WNBA, but also the face of social media, and you can't have both because when
And
you're
see,
playing, and that's fine. Off season, do what you want. When it's season time, you focus on your team to be the best player you can and get your team to the championship. That's the goal. I don't care how many teams are in every single year. The main goal at the beginning of the season, get to the championship and win it.
now
Simple as that. And they're not going to do that with her.
here's the other problem, though, too, bud, is you've got retired player Cynthia Cooper. You've got current player Brittany Griner. Griner saying that she is going to eventually be the Michael Jordan of this league. That's an asinine statement to make, especially coming from somebody who has
Wait, is
accomplished
he saying that
something.
Griner is going to be the
No, no, Griner's saying that about
that Reese
Angel
will be?
Reese.
No. Well, I
I
mean,
mean, how do you even
they
make
stick
that
together.
statement?
I seen a thing, and I don't know how true this is. So, Chad, don't come at me for it. But I seen something on Facebook, so social media, that Angel Reese. I mean, her and Griner must be really close because even Angel
Yeah,
Reese said something about
I know.
in her prime, she would beat AI. That Griner would beat AI
Yeah,
in a prime
that's
in their
exactly
prime,
it.
and it's like, okay, I get it. Griner's what 6'8",
Doesn't
6'9".
matter.
So I get the height, right? I get that
Yeah,
she
sure.
may be
But
able to score. She probably would score on AI just because of the height.
score,
Yeah, she would score a
not
point or
win.
two. But I mean, that first crossover that she sees, she's going to the ground. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I've watched AI play. I watched AI take a terrible, and I'm sorry to say, for any serious, but terrible 76ers team to the finals by himself. And you're talking about every single night you're playing grown men. Every night with that terrible team that he had, made it all the way to five. If he doesn't run into Shaq and Kobe, maybe he hits one. Maybe. He just had to run into to Kobe and Shaq. You're telling me he ran through that whole East to get to where he needed to be with them? I mean, you're talking about an old Dikembe, Eric Snow, all these guys that were bad. They ran all the way to the finals and just got beat by a better team, unfortunately. But you're telling me that guy right there can't take on Brittany Griner?
Yeah.
That's a joke. I mean, and not a joke meaning I'm not trying to take anything away from the game, but don't disrespect somebody that's made a name for himself, a legend, an icon to the NBA game, for somebody that hasn't done anything in the WNBA. She's done nothing. She's been in the news for something worse than being just a ball player. Okay? Don't put him in that same area as her. It don't work that way. I'm sorry, but AI's just... If you want to talk about maybe the 15th guy on the bench from maybe the last team in the league, maybe the Washington Wizards, I'm fine. Have at it. But don't bring in these legends, these AI. I mean, I know they talked about Cousins at one point too with Griner. Cousins, it would be done. I mean, she wouldn't score a point on it.
But to go to the extreme of saying that Angel Reese will be greater than and have a greater effect than Michael Jordan by the time it's all said and done. And this is a person who just yesterday scored 4 points, had 12 rebounds and 2 assists. Your team has a losing record. You're getting blown out. This is 2 seasons in a row now that this team is disappointing. You brought in a new coach,
Yeah.
Nothing's working. Your teammates aren't productive when you're out there. Everything is a negative attached to what's going on here when she's out there. And to make statements like that, that's disrespectful. Not only is that insulting to Jordan, you could even throw LeBron in there, obviously Kobe in there. You're telling me that Angel Reese, based on your observations, Brittany Griner, that at the end of her career, as you've apparently determined, Angel Reese is going to be greater than all of these individuals, all of them, because Michael Jordan is still there. Whether you're a LeBron fan or not, Michael Jordan is either one or he's two. So you're telling us that she's going to surpass all these guys. That's what you're saying. It's not just Jordan.
Well, and here's the other
Better
thing,
than
right?
Kobe. She's better than
Let me
LeBron.
see.
She's
Let
better
me
than
see this real
Kareem. She's
quick.
better than all these guys.
How many? I mean, she's. It's not like Griner's not like this young pup either, though, right? She's been. I mean, she's been around for a while, hasn't she?
Yeah, and again,
So how old is she? I mean,
she was stellar when she was at Baylor. I get all that. She's had a pretty successful WNBA career. She'll go into the Hall of Fame. I get it. I don't consider her personally. If you said the maybe top 20 all-time greatest WNBA players, maybe Brittany's in there. I don't know. I'm not necessarily, and I've
she's
thought
already
nothing-
34. She's
Yeah.
34 years old already.
which is getting up there. I don't think personally that she's a top 10 all-time WNBA player, but I'm not gonna make that statement, folks, without a degree of I could be wrong, so to speak, but I don't recall her career being that incredible.
Okay. By far, she's the biggest woman in the WNBA, right? As far as height, 6'9", right? I mean, I'm sure there might be somebody else, maybe.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, okay, she's the next Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, whoever your GOAT is. But this year so far in 6 games, 13 points, 6 rebounds, no assists, no steals. 6'9",
Yeah.
the biggest player in the WNBA, and she can't average a double-double at least. She can't even give you 13 and 10. 6 rebounds.
I'm saying.
At
So
6'9". Who's out rebounding her?
See,
What
that's
is she doing? What you're telling me that Jordan averaged almost 5. So Jordan averaged almost 5 to 6 rebounds for his career. On top of 5-6 assists for his career, and then 30 points a game. And he was 6'5",
Yeah.
playing against guys that were 7 foot and all these other stuff. She's 6'9", the biggest girl in the WNBA, and she's averaging 6 rebounds a game. How many minutes did she play? 25 minutes. In 25 minutes, you cannot give me a double-double. 48% from the field she shoots.
You're talking about Angel,
48%. No, this is Brittany Griner. This is
That's what I
Griner.
thought. Okay, yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
So, you're telling me that this girl's supposed to be good, okay, right? She's the tallest, okay? So now let's go into...
You're telling
Let's go into
compare
Angel
her-
Reese
okay,
too,
compare
right?
Her,
So even Angel Reese, she's 6'3",
Well-
she's this 9 points and 12 rebounds. She's still not averaging a double-double.
but I guarantee you, if you put Lisa Leslie's stats next to Brittany Griner,
Oh, we're not going to go. We're not. Don't. Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Miller, Cheryl
Yeah.
Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Breanna
Oh.
Stewart, even playing right now, Candace Parker, who just recently retired. There are so many names that I can put that are way before an Angel Reese, before a Brittany Griner. Diana Taurasi, she's even better. I mean, there's so many better WNBA players that I've seen. Legends. Cheryl Miller would run circles
Yes.
around Griner and
Yes.
Reese
And-
together. She would probably take them 2-on-1. I'm just being honest with you guys. If you guys don't know who Cheryl Miller is, Reggie
look her up.
Miller's sister. If you guys don't actually know for sure, go pull up something. Go pull up her videos, her high school, her college, her whatever. Go watch her play. She was. If you're a fan of Reggie, and he'll admit this, he won't like admitting it. She has no problem with it. She was better than Reggie growing up.
Yeah.
Probably still better now. Who knows? I don't know. They probably maybe they
He'll
still
tell you
play. Maybe they still go 1-on-1 with each other. Who knows? I mean,
I mean,
She's a
Lisa
tremendous ball
Leslie-
player. Lisa Leslie was amazing. Like, let's see. I'm interested now. You got me hooked. We weren't gonna try to stay on this topic too much, but now I'm mad. And
But
so
they brought Lisa Leslie in. They brought her in to improve Angel's game. So, Angel, is it just that you're not capable of improving, or is it that you did not care that Lisa Leslie came in and devoted portions of her time to show you how to be a better basketball player? Because the numbers say, well, they say both. They basically say you didn't pay attention, and they also say that you don't have the physical ability to be a better basketball player.
So Lisa Leslie played 13 years, 12 actually playing. She had 1 year, it says on here, did not play due to maternity leave, so she had a child, basically is what it was. For her whole career in 12 seasons, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. She was the center. So, of course, her assists are... She almost averaged a double-double.
Now, where's Brittany at? Where's she
Brittany,
at?
so, I mean...
It's not there. It's not there.
Let's see. So, let's just put Brittany against her.
But see, now people say, well, you got to
Let's
throw in that
compare
time
this.
she was in prison.
Well, they don't go to prison.
I know. And
Yeah.
and besides, Lisa stepped away for a year to have a baby. So if you want to talk about, well, she was gone because she was in prison, well, Lisa was gone because she was having a baby.
Okay, so for Brittany's career, she's 17-7.
Yeah.
17-7 for her career. So that's decent.
Decent.
That's decent. That's good. That's good. I like that. That's good.
How many championships does she have?
Now she is better from the field goal percentage. She's shooting 56 for her career. 56% from the field. That's good. 34% from the 3-point line. She's better as far as percentages, but still. Lisa has 2 championships. She's a 8-time first team All WNBA compared to Brittany's 3. 12-time All WNBA compared to Brittany's 6. Now Brittany does have 7 All Defensive teams. Lisa had 4. Lisa's been an MVP 3 times. Brittany's never been. They both have 2 Defensive Player of the Year. So what does that tell you too? Now I get she still has better, more all defense, but Lisa Leslie still had 2 Defensive Player of the Years on top of 3 MVPs.
That's what I'm saying.
2 Finals MVPs.
And Brittany
That's
has
where it
what?
matters.
Brittany has
She
one
does have
chip,
one
right?
champion. She does have one
One
championship.
But
So
she got playing with who?
well, she played with Diana too.
There you go.
She won it with Tarazi. So
There you go.
And here's the thing. Lisa did all this stuff in 363 games. Brittany's on her way to 300. She's at 321. So Lisa has better attributes, more championships, more finals MVPs, all this and that. And Brittany's about to pass her in the games, and she's not even come close to her championships in this yet. Well, I mean, not come close to championships.
We're not even talking
she
about.
can get
we're talking
another
about
one,
positioning,
but
we're not even talking about Candace
so-
right now.
But here's the thing. You can put it. Lisa's probably not she's not the GOAT. So I'm not going to say like that's just I'm just putting up a center against a center.
Yeah.
Because who else? I mean, we could probably put who's probably somebody that's going to be like Brittany or not Brittany.
Well, Diana Taurasi is one that you got.
Well, Diana, but I was going to say somebody. She is kind of. Let me see. Hold on. I was going to put up. Let me
You
see.
could look at like a Cynthia Cooper. You know.
Well, no,
'cause
I
her
was going
years-
to do.
Her years with the Houston Comets were insane.
Well, I was going to do her against Brianna Stewart, who's playing right now.
Well, that too.
Because I want to see. Let's see here. Because I want to know exactly how. Let's see here. I want to see what her stats are for this year. Because we know that she's I would say she's probably one of the best in the NBA right now, or in the WNBA. She's one of the tops.
Diana.
Brianna Stewart, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to just see.
And you also have to look at you have to go back and you have to look at Deanna Taurasi. I mean, that's a lady that had an insanely, productive career.
All right.
But I mean, you look back. Again, I go back to there's no point in either one of these girls providing a false narrative on the other. I mean, it makes no sense to make claims like that she's going to be greater than Jordan, and Brittany could stop Iverson. I mean, those are asinine statements to make, and like you said, but it's literally about two friends, basically just scratching each other's back because one put out the compliment. If you fully believe that, then you're absolutely ignorant and stupid to what accomplishments are all about, because those aren't there. And Angel is never, ever, capital Never, never going to be greater than Michael
No,
Jordan. She's never going to be greater than Kobe Bryant. She's never going to be greater than LeBron
for
James.
sure,
Never,
for
never,
sure.
never, 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 never. Vince,
So look,
she'll never be greater than Vince Carter.
so looking
I
at
mean,
this
come on.
regular season head to head, Brianna's got her. She's beat her. She's 9-6 against her, 3-3 against each other in the playoffs. But Brianna Stewart, 20 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. So she's a big that still assists the ball. She averages a steal a game. She averages a block a game. Better field goal percentage still from Griner. She shoots 56%. Brianna's 47%. But 3-point percentage, Brianna's got her at the 35%. Free throw percentage, 79% for Griner, 83% for Brianna Stewart. Better free throw shooter. She's got 3 championships to her 1, 6 first team All WNBA to Brittany's 3, 7 All WNBAs to Griner's 6, 7 All Defense still for Griner, but Brianna has 6, even more than Lisa did. 2 MVPs for Stewart, still none for Griner. 2 Finals MVPs, none for Griner, but no Defensive Players of the Years for Stewart at all. 2 for Griner. So we got to pump the brakes on what we say about Griner. Like, I get it, fine. I think what gets people is, I think it's the height. That, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think it's the height that gets everybody. But I don't know. I don't think Angel is going to be this outstanding player that everybody thinks. She's not going to be the face. I think Caitlyn, obviously, she's going to run away with that. She's already, I mean, after that first game, getting that triple-double, she was already 3rd in the list for triple-doubles in the WNBA. Like, and she just started her career. So, I think she's what? So, that was what? Caitlyn's 3rd or 4th triple-double for her career and put her in 3rd place. The number 1 person had like 30 or so. So, she's going to pass that before she even hits like season 4 for her career. And she's going to obliterate that. She's going to obliterate it.
Angel Reese is going to ride up a basketball player who is just transitions from team to team. Maybe she'll eventually wind up with a team that's got real talent. I mean, I'm talking about marquee 1-2 position players that have finals ability, and maybe she latches on and grabs a title out of that. But as long as she is the focal point of any team, they will not advance to an NBA or WNBA final. They won't win one. She's going to be this journeyman basketball player.
The other thing is, outside of just, I mean, I know we're hammering on Angel, but even looking at the whole team, they don't have a pure point guard. That's why Angel brings up I see her go back to get the ball. They bring it up. I'm like, why is she bringing it up? Like, that's your point guard?
But back to your point, if you watch her ball skills, her ball handling skills, she doesn't have any. She has no. There's no reason to have this girl bringing the ball up.
But they do. But they do.
All
That's what I'm saying.
Is a turnover. She gets stripped, or she puts up a shot that she has no business taking because she doesn't have that kind of range consistently. It's not there.
But this goes back to what you said, Mike. Instead of worrying about fashion and all this other stuff in the off season, then, like, Go if you want to be that player, fine. Now Lisa Leslie is not going to teach you how to cross over, how to do this. Go find you a guard and say, I need to work on my guard. I need to work on my ball handling skills.
No,
I play
to
for
your point,
Chicago. I play for Chicago. We don't have that right now.
I'm going to correct you because you were spot on. She needs to transition away from trying to be this score all points at all times. She needs to do what Lisa was brought in for, to
I
show
agree.
you how to dominate underneath the basket, make and take advantage of your rebounding
And she
skills,
should.
and
I
dominate
agree.
there.
She should, and
Instead.
it should be that way, but it's not. So fine, if you want to be that point, then go find a point guard and say, "Show me how to handle
And
the
be
rock."
willing to learn. Be
Exactly.
willing to learn.
Not sit here and do the things that you do. But I don't know. I guess it's only time will tell. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both still young. Caitlin obviously has shown more signs of becoming better compared to Angel. I've seen a decrease in Angel. I've seen a rise in Caitlin, and that's just as simple as you could put it as of right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? But moving on from this, guys, we want to kind of jumble in and trying to get as much packed in as we can. Obviously, the finals are here, Mike. We got the Thunder, we got the Pacers. Something that nobody, I don't think, would have picked at the beginning of the season. I know I sure didn't. OKC, obviously, a huge favor. Possible. I mean, not a huge favor, but they were a team that was favored when the season started. Pacers were not a team that were playing there, but boy, that Pacers team sure showing up as showing up this week, showing up this year. Sorry. Great win, game one. Another clutch play by Halliburton, right?
Yeah.
Halliburton's just been on fire as far as making clutch shots, doing everything he can. Where do you see this going, Mike? Was that just a fluke win?
No, I don't consider it
Did
a
they
fluke.
make it a? Is this actually a sign that the Pacers can and will take this finals, or was it just a lapse, a collapse on OKC's part, and OKC will bounce back from this and still win? Where are you going with this right now?
No, I think any team that has that, I think became their fifth 15-point comeback in this year's playoffs. Their fifth 15-point deficit comeback in this year's playoffs. That's not a fluke. That's resiliency. That's believing in your teammates. That's believing in each other. That's knowing how to work together. You got a great coach. It's about overcoming odds and not allowing yourself to be intimidated by road games, which I think Indiana has already fully established. The road doesn't bother them per se. I've talked about this. Road discrepancies with teams and how they've been getting blown out sometimes has been ridiculous. And sometimes there's been a couple games where the home team just absolutely got decimated by a point margin that there's no reason for it, especially when you're starting the same five individuals game to game. But Indiana has shown this resiliency that tells you they belong there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City is such a dominant basketball team, and they're going to wind up being one of the. Everybody is saying I'd have to look at the numbers, but I'm going to sort of allow for the fact that they're saying that they could potentially be one of, if not the greatest defensive basketball teams in history. I mean, I don't know how that all plays out, but they're very good. When you come off of these layoffs because they're wrapping their series up so early and you get these long week and a half layoffs, those first games back, not to take anything away from Indiana, they're a good basketball team, they deserve to win, but that does cause problems. You come off of those layoffs, you're not, it's a little bit of a rhythm thing. The other team has just come off a 7-game stretch or whatever it is. They're still in focus, they're still in game mode. So you start those games, and of course the team has a chance to sneak up on it. Indiana took advantage of it. I still believe. And I talked about this. I've got, I had Oklahoma City in 5, possibly 6. It could go 7. I'm still going to hold to the 6. That would mean obviously that OKC would win it in Indiana. So we'll see how that goes. I know they're favored by 11 plus tonight. I actually expect them to cover that. And we'll see what happens in Indiana. But it still can make for a very good series. I don't think Indiana has the ability to take the series. I think OKC will be focused. I think that game actually, the way it played out, might actually be a detriment to Indiana because that will have OKC more focused. If they had come out to game one and just obliterated Indiana, they'd have said, okay, this isn't going to take us very long. But Indiana's a resilient team. I like them. I like both teams. I get the whole thing with the foul calls with OKC and Alexander and all that. But
You
I
know,
don't really believe that
it's
that
funny
affects
that
anything.
all this stuff starts coming out about the free throw merchant when playoff time. It's always around the playoff time. It's been happening all year, and it's not just Shea. It happens everywhere. These guys flop.
Everywhere.
These guys flop more. They get to the basket. They try to get to the foul to the free throw line more. So that
Yeah.
But the thing is they get to the free throw line, but they shy away from contact. That's the problem. But they still get there. So when you start thinking about things like that, who do you place the blame on for that though? Is it? I mean, you want to blame the player, right? And say, "Oh, why you're fly," but at the same time, the refs are blowing the whistle for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, as much as you want to blame Shea and say this, the refs don't have to call that, but they call it. So the refs on top of the players are making them softer by doing that.
Yep.
You're letting them get away with that stuff, and how? I mean, I just had to talk about this. I am so sick and tired of watching the 3-ball game. I'm so sick and tired of watching the flop game. This is why I didn't watch game 1. And this is why I watched most of the playoffs. You know what I mean? This is why I'm having a hard time watching as much NBA as I can, because it's junk. The game is junk right now. It's terrible. There's no defense. When there is defense, there's a call for a foul because they're flopping. You know what I mean? And all of these guys want to do. I mean, we talked about this at length about Boston. I mean, Boston put up 73s a game throughout in the playoffs. It seemed like. I mean, at some point in time, you have to understand. Hey, it's not falling. We got to get to the basket. We got to do something different. We got to change the game plan. But no, everybody's still and that was Denver's problem too. OKC had a good game plan for them, where Jokic would get the ball inside. They just hovered around him and they made Denver shoot. Yeah. Now some games, that's why it went to Game 7, because some games Denver got hot and they would knock down through. Strother had that 26-point game where he was hot from the outside. Jokic knows how, and they understood that. They know Jokic sees the floor fine, but they're not going to let him be. So they just clamped on him and he dished it out. And now the thing but the problem is yeah, they left somebody wide open, but will they make the shots? And they didn't. They didn't make enough shots to move on. I think so far, other than Indiana playing game 1 as what they did, so far the biggest test that OKC has played against is Denver. They took them to game 7.
Yeah.
And here's my thing and why I'm kind of back and forth with this final, because I don't really care who wins. I'm not a fan of either team. I'm kind of just keeping an eye on how it goes. But the reason it's back and forth is because how does a team like OKC, who's that good, go to a Game 7 against the Nuggets? With a hurt Gordon, Porter looks like crap. He's completely injured. Murray hasn't played up to his potential. Brown was very sporadic throughout the playoffs. Only person that was consistent throughout everything was Jokic. So how did you go to Game 7? How did that get to be? This is where I think Indiana can. They're a better team than Denver. They have more players. They have Halliburton. They have Siakam. They have Turner. They have good ball players. How did they go to Game 7? This is what makes me worried that OKC may. And then I wonder to myself, okay, if they lose, what do they do with that team now? Do you keep doing this? Do you keep go? I mean, they're young. They are young, but at some point, when do you finally say, maybe it's time to move on? Maybe we don't. Keep this team together. Maybe we got to get a couple of veterans on this team that kind of gets these. How young they are. Where's the veteran? Where's the guy to come back and say, hey, when they run on a run, when Indiana's coming back, hey, let's stop for a second. Let's slow it down. There's no veteranship on that team right now. There's nobody on that team that can do that.
That's why if you look at a team like an OKC, but in particular, and the youth that's attached, and a lot of their players are locked into contracts, and you and I both know, a lot of teams in the West are transitioning right now. San Antonio is trying to be an up-and-coming team.
They will be.
The Nuggets are a little bit in transition because you just don't know quite where they're at. You never know where Sacramento's at. The Lakers are trying to reestablish themselves, obviously, with what they've got out there now. So my point is that if OKC stays healthy and they continue to progress as a unit, there may be no stopping these guys, with injury, unless injury stopped them, unless that derails them. You look at Boston, they're compromised now. Tatum's out for next season. He's out. He's done. Because you're not coming back from the Achilles next season. So, and what is he when he comes back? So you went from a team that, and again, to your point, this is a great point. We saw what happens when you can't hit your threes in game 6 against the Knicks. It absolutely blows up in your face. It explodes. And that's what happened with them. And if you can't just in part transition past that, and like you said, everybody's about the three ball now, but those are the things that you're setting yourself up for. If your shot's not dropping, you're going to get roasted most likely. And at times that you can't afford to, and the playoffs don't allow for that sometimes because it's a 5, it's a 7 game series, it's whatever it is. And if it's that critical game 5 or game 6 or whatever it may be, and you're on the verge of elimination, and your shots aren't dropping like that because you refuse to establish an inside game through drafting or free agency or whatever it is, that's what happens to you. But now with Tatum out next season, what does that do to Boston? Where's Milwaukee at with Giannis? Where's he going next season? Where's Durant going next season? There's a lot going on there. So right now, Minnesota, where are they going? They've got questions now about what they're going to do. The Knicks have questions. Let the coach go. One of their best players is being questioned about his defense.
This is one of the most craziest off seasons where a lot of these teams are going to wonder what they're going to do. Everybody's got something going on that they're going to have.
Yeah, Oklahoma City's in a really good position right now too. But if they do begin to dominate, are they dominating simply because of roster talent, or is it a combination of roster talent and the transitions of everybody else? And the lack of cohesiveness, because OKC will have that if they stay free of injury.
But see, that's the thing is, like I said, with OKC, they are dominating, but then it's like
how do you get blown out?
But then they get. But here's the other thing, like I said with Denver. Why did they go to Game 7 with Denver though?
Yeah.
Now, so then this goes back to the whole. See, this is why the NBA is so. I just can't anymore. If they went to Game 7, okay, because of Jokic, why isn't he the MVP? He's the only person on that team that does anything. He's literally carried the Nuggets to Game 7. So why was he not MVP then?
Because like you and I talked about, but and it's not just, right. Is voter exhaustion, which to me that's a pointless statement to make, because now if that's the case, you've issued aside the talent aspect of it and the contribution aspect simply because you're tired of this individual dominating the award. Then why do you have it? What was it you said, Bud? You said, well, why don't we just come up with an award for, I can't remember what it was, but it was perfect. It was, then let's not even have an MVP. Let's just have, how are you wording?
You could just, that's the thing. The key word, and I've said it over and over, it's MVP, most valuable player. It's not most valuable team.
Yes.
It's the most valuable player. Meaning, who's the most valuable player to everything that you do throughout the season. So, Jokic didn't have another nugget in the All-Star game.
No,
there was another OKC. Jalen Williams made the All-Star. Now, people might sit there and say, oh, he didn't deserve it. He should. Doesn't matter. He was an All-Star.
That's right.
Okay?
That's exactly it.
That team, you go through the list. There's no reason that they should have went to a Game 7 against Denver. And who's the reason why? Because I tell you what, you take Jokic out of any of those games, he doesn't play. Just take him out of the series. It's a 4-0 sweep. Every game they beat by 20. Mm-hmm. Every single game.
Yeah.
The games aren't even close. Don't get me started anything else. The games are not close. So for him to be able to carry that team, just like an Iverson, to carry that team to the final, to carry them to the Western Conference Finals, take OKC to Game 7, who was killing everybody, why is Jokic not MVP then?
Nope.
It's ridiculous. All of these awards and stuff are just becoming worse and worse. It's like, what did I see? I seen a thing too, and I'm kind of going off track here, but I seen a thing about the MLB. It was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was seven no-hitters from lefties but no Cy Youngs. But 7 no-hitters, or no, 7 Cy Youngs from righties, but no Cy Young, or but no no-hitters or something like that. I gotta look that up again.
The only the only
Let me see
stat
if
you
I
would
can
have to
find
look
that.
at if you really wanted to look at MVP voting in basketball, and you narrowed it down to say 3 players, and we obviously know Shea was there, Jokic was there, LeBron was there. The only true stat you would really have to look at, bud, is what is the point differential when that person's on the bench? That's really all you'd have to look at. What happens when you're on the bench? And we both know what, and a lot of people know what happened to the Nuggets when Jokic was on the bench. I guarantee you the point differential when Alexander was on the bench wasn't as significant as it was when Joker was on the bench.
Yeah.
It speaks
No, I
volumes.
mean,
And you can look at it,
it's
and
just
again, we go back to why are these awards given out at that particular point in time? The season's not over with. I've never understood this with awards anyway. Why do you discount the playoffs? They're part of the season. You
because
add it to the record.
it's because now they have Eastern Conference Finals MVPs now and finals. They do all this stuff now, so that MVP is supposed to go for the season, for throughout the regular season.
Then don't add.
But
add
here's the
wins
thing. Then fine. You guys want to add Eastern? Then why is Halliburton not the Eastern Conference Finals MVP then? Why did Siakam get it?
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying Siakam had a terrible Eastern.
Yeah,
Don't get me
exactly.
wrong. It could go, but who made the most clutch plays and who's still making the clutch plays? Why was he not the Finals MVP or Eastern
Well,
Conference
here's my
Finals
other
MVP?
thing too. So if it doesn't count, then why do you add their wins to their overall season totals if it's the playoffs and it's not the regular season? But you continue to add to their overall record. Football does this too. So if you're going to do that, then the season's still ongoing. So why are you giving out
Because it's
these
the
awards?
NBA and the commissioner is garbage. And
He is garbage.
Everything else that goes. I mean, he's more focused still on trying to figure out what to do with the All-Star games than worry about what he
And I,
has to do
and I
about
want
these
to say something
finals,
real
about
quick
these
but
MVPs
about
and
that, and
things
I'm
like
glad
that.
you brought that up. It's amazing you brought that. That was my next real quick thing. I don't care. I don't. If you've got the U.S. versus the world like they did in hockey, you're not going to get the same. And here's my thing: you could do that if you want to, but if you don't have the players committed to playing the defense that they're supposed to be playing, you're still going to have 225 to 175 if they're just not committed to what tells you that because it's the world on defense and it's the US on defense that they're going to just I'm sorry, I don't see the same results that you saw in hockey. Hockey's a whole different animal.
Just get rid of. They complain enough already that they don't have no time to just chill out throughout the season, even though they load manage all year long. They already complain about it. You've heard it before. Then just do away with the All-Star. They're just fine. Go home for a week. Just go home then. Just go home.
Yeah. Go home. Just go home and sit and just
Because you guys aren't going to be the one that's it's this last All-Star game. Literally, I thought I had never seen that was the worst All-Star game I've ever seen in my entire. That format, the way that they did it, the way it was panned out, that was awful. And to watch those games, oh my god! I didn't watch any of it. I only seen highlights, but I seen the highlights. These guys are walking on the court. Everything's a dunk. Nobody's playing any defense. I mean, each game was over real quick. I mean, it was just nothing. It was just, I mean, it almost looked like, when you first go to, basketball practice and everybody's just kind of doing the shoot around at the beginning and just getting layups and doing their own thing. That's what it looked like for an All-Star game. And you know what's even worse about this is for the people. The amount of money people spend to go to an event like that, and that's what they have to watch. Yep. That's what you're showing. That's what they're sitting there to watch this. Some people, some people that can afford it, or people that's saved all their money, say, "Hey, All-Star game's coming to our town. I'm saving up. I'm gonna go." And then they get to the point and they spend $5,000 on souvenirs, on seats, on food, on everything like that to go watch that.
Yeah, I mean
that's garbage. So just get rid of it then. These guys complain enough, then go home. Then just go home.
Yeah, and just come back when you're ready to start, load managing the rest of the back end of the season.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I wanted to grab something real quick. I don't know if you had this on the itinerary, but I want to touch on this just real quick. There's one NFL topic because it really fascinates me. You and I have talked about it briefly with your dad, and I know he just signed with Pittsburgh.
Aaron Rodgers.
I go back, Bud, and he's getting, I guess, potentially $19 million for the season. Do you know that he was actually, I found this out today, he was actually the third option? He was not. He was at no point in time their first option. It literally was Stafford was their first option. Fields was their second option. It was Stafford, Fields, and then Rodgers. And obviously
was there word that Stafford was leaving LA or what? Or what was
Well, remember, Bud, there was that talk that potentially, Stafford might entertain some other offers. The Rams might just let him reach out.
Nah,
I get that part of it. But why? Do you know he is now officially, and I think I talked about this too, Aaron Rodgers becomes the oldest player in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. The oldest. A guy who's been to one Super Bowl, and granted they won it. They're not going to. And this guy, and you made this point, Bud. You made this point last night that Rodgers could potentially be the main reason that Tomlin.
Oh, I'm calling it. I am calling it. I am calling it this year. This will be the first season Pittsburgh is not above 500 under Tomlin. I'm going to call it. I think they'll win 6, maybe 7, and. With that saying, because they waited for Rodgers, they think that this is it. They could have drafted a better quarterback. They could have went after other quarterbacks, whatever. They waited specifically for this guy because they have to. Because it's Aaron Rodgers. He makes his own decisions, right? He'll sign when he wants to sign. So you had to wait, and to go 6 and whatever to only win 7 games, be below 500, not make the playoff. Tomlin's going to lose his job for this now too. Now I get 3 coaches in their entire franchise. But at some point it's going to luck out. And luck's going to run out. And it's going to run out now because I don't know what this infatuation is with Rodgers. I don't know if it's a Peyton Manning thing where they see him come back, they think he's going to... Sorry, but Aaron Rodgers ain't in the same tier as Peyton Manning. He ain't even close. He's not a Tom Brady either. Tom Brady coming back to go play with Tampa. Sorry, he's not.
The kicker on this. I found out that... and again, you take these with a grain of salt, but from a couple of sources, Tomlin was the biggest pusher for Rodgers. And ironically,
of course. I mean,
the guy
it's the name. It's you just hear it's just the name, right? I mean, it goes that way. It's the name. It's like the Wizards going and get Jordan, right? When he later on in his career, I hear Jordan's name. I'm gonna go get Jerry Rice when he was bouncing from team to team towards the end of his career, going to Oakland, even coming to Denver. He was in Seattle. You just hear the name, let me go get it. Yeah, but they're not the same player. They're not. If that was the case, why didn't the Jets go anywhere? Why didn't they do anything last year?
You should have just went ahead and brought in Kirk Cousins. I mean, at this point in their respective careers,
draft. I get it. I'm not a huge Shedeur Sanders fan. But what's so wrong with at least trying him? You had how many rounds?
Yeah.
What if he does pan out to be good?
You had Mason Rudolph as your starter. You had the kid out of Ohio State that was going to be your backup. Now the kid you drafted won't get any reps because Rudolph is your backup. And Rodgers probably won't even play the entire season because he's just literally too old.
It's done. Metcalf, it's over. I'm sorry, but it's over.
Rodgers is done. Isn't going to get you anything. And I've seen the stories about some people believing that they can still challenge Burrows. They can still challenge Jackson in Baltimore and Cincinnati, respectively.
It's funny. I seen a thing there.
No, you can't.
It made me laugh because it says now Burrow is actually the only quarterback in the AFC North without an MVP. Because obviously Flacco's the starter in Cleveland, Rodgers in Pittsburgh now, and obviously Lamar in Baltimore. But now I was like, we're talking about Flacco about 10 years ago when he won an MVP. He's not an MVP.
I sent you that video of Sanders asking him if he knew how to
do a dance or something.
And I looked at that, and I sent you guys the message, and I just looked at this, and the way Joe acted, he just acted like, man, if I'm getting off this shit before the iceberg hits, at least I won't be here when it sinks because this franchise is.
I mean, I think obviously Flacco, depending on what he does, and I don't see big things coming from Cleveland obviously yet, but it's probably it for him. I think he's got one last hurrah in him. They'll go out there, but they can't compete in that North. And especially and here's the other thing. If Rodgers is Rodgers, right? If he comes back and even is half of what he used to be, you're already fighting with Cincinnati and Baltimore as good as they are. Baltimore's top tier. Now you got to add Pittsburgh on top of that. You're not going in. I mean, they're already looking at last place again this year. I mean, obviously we haven't gotten into our stuff. We are going to get into this though, folks. Mike and I will put on a show that will go into our predictions, what we feel like people are. We're going to spend probably a whole episode because now that football is coming back in, you're going to see us get more jacked up. We complain a lot about basketball. We complain a lot about baseball. We complain about a lot of other sports. When football's in, this is a different story. So for you guys that haven't tuned in to us before, when football comes in, it's a different story for us because we get a little bit more locked in on the football side of it. And like I said, we will have it'll probably be a full long episode, Mike, of us getting our predictions in, going by each division. Yeah. And then we might hold off on playoffs and see, and we might do like an early one where it's like too early to tell and say this is who we have. And then as the season gets more started, because we know there's injuries that happen. There's all this other stuff that comes along with it.
Well, the last thing I'll say about Rodgers, and again, like Anthony said, folks, this is something we'll get into more as we get to August and things like that. But the last thing I'll say about Rodgers' history, his track history, he showed it with Green Bay. He showed it with the Jets. Pittsburgh goes to all this trouble. He finally signs for a one-year contract. But do you get him in for a full training camp? Does he agree to come in?
No,
and
he won't
activate himself to his receivers?
Why would he?
So we'll see.
For what? He's to the point where in his career where he's making all the decisions. He is. And they allow him to. So it's, do you want to come to training camp? Maybe. If not, oh well, we'll see at the beginning of the season. Fine, whatever. He's not going to play any preseason, obviously. None of these guys do. So you might not see anything from Rodgers until opening day, game 1. And then what is it? And obviously the biggest game that's probably going to come through is what I believe week 8. Packers play the Steelers. That might be one of the biggest televised games. And so that's going to be interesting to see. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to want to tune in and see that game to see what it's like because
I think
by week 8 we should already kind of know where Pittsburgh. I think obviously Green Bay is still a good team. They should be up there. So we can kind of gauge by week 8 where Pittsburgh's already going to be. And maybe I'm right. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're both, I don't know where their buys land, but maybe they're both 8-0 going into it. Who knows?
I think the Jets and Steelers play also this year, I think.
They do. The Jets and Steelers play. He plays everybody because he has a chance. Obviously now that he gets to play against the Packers, he's going to be. There's 4 other quarterbacks that have beaten every 32 teams. He's trying to be the 5th quarterback to do that because I believe it's Brady, Manning, Breeze, and Favre, or the four that have beaten every single team in the league so far.
He has
a chance. But the thing is if I'm correct in the way that they're not going to beat Green Bay. You won't beat them.
No. But like you said,
now this is something I am interested in because obviously playing Green Bay, I believe so. Obviously they play the North, the NFC North, right? They played Chicago then, and according to Tim, he owns Chicago. He's always owned Chicago. And Green Bay, I own you, right?
Yeah.
Ben Johnson there now. Caleb Williams, definitely a new offense coming in. Does he own them still? I don't know. I mean, this is where I think it's going to be one of those where it shows for Aaron that it's time to hang it up, buddy. You're going to, as much as you own Chicago, they may beat you. As much as you'd like to go back to Green Bay, if that's where the game's at, I'll have to look at schedule. If that's where it is, and you go back there and you lose. I mean, dude, it's time to call. If you screw up Tomlin's 500 season thing, you know, then it's just. But here's the other thing for me is how long does just being subpar get you a job still for him?
Oh, like, I think he gets
how by a team. How do you just get to 9-8 and say, all right, but get beat up in the playoffs and say, okay, well, we'll just start over again. Then still get your job. Like, you have to show me at least you can. AFC Championship game, please. Even I don't care if you get to the Super Bowl and lose it. At least you're still pushing. It seems like that he's just got to a point now where they're just okay with getting over 500. That's what they're fighting for. Just keep getting Tomlin over. Just keep getting him there. But you can't keep doing that.
To your point, and this goes back to last season, and I talked to locally. You come across fans of teams, and I came across a few people who were diehard Steeler fans, but their point was Tomlin needed to go, because it's run its course. It wasn't working. So that's to your point, bud.
I agree, and
because mediocre. I mean, how long do you live off of mediocre, like you're talking about?
I agree. Because granted, there's been coaches that never won the big one or anything like that. And, like, going to basketball, right? Look at Jerry Sloan, right? Jerry Sloan never won. But he still made it to the final. He wasn't just getting into the playoffs and losing in the first round. He was taking the Jazz to the finals. He just happened to run into Jordan.
Yeah.
Happened to run into the Bulls.
Off of last season, that was now 14 straight years that the Steelers hadn't advanced.
When's the last time the Steelers were known? In the 70s, little bit of some of the 90s there, they were playing well. They're known for winning. They're a winning franchise. They're up there in Super Bowls. When's the last time they've been close?
Yeah. I mean, the last time they won it was Super Bowl 43 when they beat Arizona. So you're talking about 17 years ago. The last time they lost to Green Bay 15 years ago now, because they're not going this year. So that would be 15 straight years without, even getting to a Super Bowl.
But we're still just okay with saying he's above 500. So we'll just...
Yeah, your reputation can only carry you so far. I mean, at least it should.
And is it because they want to be that franchise that still says we've only had 3 for our entire...
I wondered about that. That's a good point.
Who cares? You got, at some point, don't you want another championship?
Yeah.
Don't you want it?
You got to step outside the box and say, look, it's like the Cowboys. You could have reached out to any number of potential head coaches, but you promoted from within, and I'm sorry, he's not gonna. There's a talent base there that you can, but it won't be ultimately the coach. I don't think if the Cowboys are successful, they did okay with the draft, they did okay with a couple other things, but that's not the guy that I personally felt was who you should have looked at as your next head coach. I thought there were better options out there, but you just decided to forego that. But again, you can't just, at some point, you can't just live off the idea that, we're the franchise that's only had so many coaches in so many decades. You're not winning Super Bowls, so it doesn't matter. Hey, I want to give a shout out to women's college softball folks. Texas Tech put on a phenomenal showing in those 3 games. I was kind of leaning towards Tech, just I don't know. Texas as a school, no offense, folks. I've just never been a big Longhorn person. You got some great programs.
They sure did put a beating on them though in that if game though. They sure did put.
But 2 good teams, 2 teams that had a hand in collectively taking down OU and preventing them from getting that 5th straight national title. But the ladies put on a very good show. It was 3 games of great softball. So, but props to Texas. Congratulations on your first chip, and. See if they can build on it.
Boy, rough for Kennedy though, huh? They had that one play with the intentional walk that she left over the middle a little bit.
I told your dad about it. I said, is she incapable of not throwing the
strike? I know, and that's rough for her because you wonder now if she gets the intentional walk, do they get out of the inning and then they go on to win, which they don't have to play the if game, right? Because they would have won. So. Right? That was game 2.
Yeah.
Where they had won the first game. Game 2 was where Texas comes back, and then Texas beats them 10-4 in game 3. So you wonder if they do intentionally walk her, they get out of the inning, they might just go on and win.
You
So
know what
that's
I
a
want-
huge. That's just a terrible mistake on her part in there.
Yeah,
And
but
she's-
you know what
and
I want-
it's just for me. It just sucks real quick because how great she is and was for that team. The what she's gonna leave back there to end her career that way. That's tough.
You know what I wonder too, Bud, though? At what point, and I got that they brought her in on that $1 million NIL, so I understand that part of it. But as great as she is, at what point do you really test the abilities? Because when you're asking her to go back to back to back, she did it a couple of times or so during the season, but at some point, when you're having to do that and the talent's there against you, does that potentially start to catch up with you?
I think it does, but at the same point, where's her teammates? Where's the hitting?
Oh no,
Where's
exactly,
the scoring?
Bud.
You know what I mean? So they have to score. They have to score for her.
Yeah.
And they didn't. That's
No.
another big key. I mean, she pitched well,
can't
and then they put up, and then Texas goes on and puts up 10. In game 3, and there was just no way for them to come back from that.
But one last thing I'll say about that, and one thing I'm excited for the ladies that are involved in college softball. I know the Major League Baseball now is going to be helping with this new league that women's softball is starting. So they're going to be investing in that, and it's going to contribute to these ladies having a chance now to transition from college to where there really weren't those options after college.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this will give them a chance to continue showing what ability they do have with softball and get a chance to make some money off of it. I think it's long overdue for them. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. Hopefully, it grows. I know they've had sporadic leagues over the last 10 or 20 years, 15 years that have tried to do that, but it's a hard sport to grow in popularity. So maybe with the endorsement of the MLB and the contributions, that'll help with that and give the ladies a chance to continue to showcase. Because you'd hate to see her just drift off after college, and that's the last you hear about her as far as a pitcher.
Well, maybe they should get Angel Reese there. She likes to bring the face of everything up, right?
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, like I said, folks, I mean, I know it's cruel, but
maybe she's good enough to hit a few out of the park too, right? She's that good. She'll hit it off Kennedy too. She'll hit a grand slam game winner
like
for the
I said,
championship.
folks, and I joked with Anthony about this, but worst case, Angel can always, she's got OnlyFans as a backup, so start looking at that because the only bust you're putting in the Hall of Fame may be your bra. That's the only thing you're putting in the WNBA Hall of Fame. That's the only bust that'll ever get there.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But
I mean,
I'm hoping the
we'll
ladies
see.
will
We'll
top
see
it.
how it goes. But for sure, yeah. Congratulations to women Texas Longhorns going on winning the women's college softball. Definitely
men's
well
baseball.
deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Men's baseball is going on. North Carolina lost to Arizona, so I'm kind of upset about that.
Yeah.
But they're pushing still. There's a lot of good games going on, so definitely tune into that. But speaking of the baseball, before we head out of here, I kind of wanted to bring up, we haven't had a chance to talk about this, and it's something that both of us know that we haven't been very happy with, and it's been a long time that we've talked. But Mike, where do the Rockies go now? What this is ridiculous, right? I mean, they are the worst. They're on pace to be the worst team ever, literally, like in the history of Major League. I know they just swept Miami, so that's helping them out. But before that, I mean, this is ridiculous, man. I am so sad. I watched some of these highlights. I have not watched a full game, and it's hard because this is what takes me away from the game. Because not only is it hard not sitting here knowing that the Dodgers have a super team, the Yankees have their super team, and it's probably going to end up being those two anyways, so be it possibly. Now, don't get me wrong, Detroit I know is good. The Mets have a chance to be that. There's other teams out there. I'm not sitting here saying that that's probably what it's going to be, but on top of watching that kind of game, then when your favorite team is as bad as they are, it really takes away to trying to watch the game. You can't watch this. You can't watch this Rockies team. There's no point in time where I've thought to myself, you know what, I just want to. I'm just going to click them on and put them on. They are so bad, and there's no sign that it's going to get any better. The only sign so far we've seen is that they swept a series.
Yeah, but that speaks more about, I sent you that picture of the stadium in Florida, at the Marlins game.
Nobody.
And there's like 5,000, maybe 5,000
And
people,
even when they come here, it's whoever we're playing.
unless it's free day and they
The
pack the house.
Yankees were here. Coors Field's what, 40,000 fans, 50, and
That was a free day. Wow.
40,000 fans
Free
were
admission.
were Yankees fans.
Yeah, and that was free admission. The problem, and you and I've talked about this, and it's two-sided. You'd like to have some of the guys be more productive, but it is what it is. But the biggest problem the Rockies have and will always have, and I sent you this article this past week, you
It's
and your dad,
management.
that Mumford's
Ownership.
nowhere to be found.
It's
He's
ownership.
nowhere to be
It's
found.
ownership.
He's nowhere offering a comment. And then once he has offered, either during the offseason, right before the beginning of this season, about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. It's asinine for this guy to make these statements because he knows it's not true. They just throw that out there to sell tickets. But you're at a point now where the only people going to these games are people that, just like you said before, but baseball as a whole is not really about going out and rooting for the team per se. It's just it's a social event. You go out, you have some beers or a pretzel or whatever you do, and you kick back for 3 hours. It's a nice day, it's a nice evening, the weather's great. If they win, that's great. If they lose, who cares? It's a cool little social outing. It's not the investment that you have in hockey or football or basketball per se.
And
But here's one for
what you
here's
have to
one
think
for
too is real quick is just to add to that real quick is not only is it fun to be at the ballpark, right? Being in the ballpark is fun. Watching whatever it may be, they've done a great job with Coors Field having the rooftop.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, to be able to say, you know what, if I don't want to hang out here for the whole game, I can literally walk out the front door and what's right outside there? Downtown Denver, where you can go to Lodo's, you can go to, you know,
bar
3 to 4 different bars, literally, right as you
restaurant.
walk out. And go eat, go drink more, go do whatever. Not all stadiums have that luxury of being able to
Yeah.
just say you can walk, and this is walking distance. Well, literally, you can walk right out from, behind home plate. That's where the main entrance is. You walk straight out to cross over the lights, and boom,
This
bars
is why, you know
galore.
what? This is why, and your dad made a good point because remind me because I'm blanking at this exact moment. The Drew Goodman.
Yeah,
So, and your
the
dad made a
announcer.
good point. Your dad made a good point because I watched a game right before the Marlins series, and the Rockies are struggling. And Drew is that he's that dude. He's always been great. He's always great at what he does, regardless of the
He's
sport.
calling the
But
game like it's a World Series Game 7.
but see, here's the thing, though. So you're connected to the Rockies, so you got to be sort of like the company guy. You're not going to call them out as bad as they are. You're going to look for anything that you could remotely, put out there as being a positive. So the Rockies have something called the Pebble Report, and I sent this to you guys one time, you and your dad, because I didn't know it was called this. It's kind of funny to me. It makes me think about the Flintstones for some reason. But anyway, it's called the Pebble Report. And basically, if you look at it, really all they do is they sort of try to build on what's not there. Just it's a feel good thing. And so they literally said, this last these a couple of these games after the Marlins series, where yeah, but they're building something. They're not building anything, guys. They're now back to losing games. And the only reason they beat the Marlins is because, like you and I talked about, the Marlins may apparently be the worst team
The
in baseball because they got swept.
the only thing I will say that I did notice is the fielding for Colorado's the defense. The defense is actually
They were
pretty good.
supposed.
They're actually I think if I'm not mistaken, they're probably like a if I had to think, they're probably like a top 10 team in defense only.
But
But the thing
they
is but they can't show their defense because the pitchers are getting lit up.
but they were literally projected to potentially have the ability to be. This is by sports analysts. The Rockies were projected to have potentially one of the five best defenses in the
And it's
history
good. It's good though.
of baseball.
They are good. They are
But
good
when
in
you
defense.
don't have pitching, when you don't have relief pitching, when you don't have hitting, it doesn't
Is there
matter.
any pitcher that's like under 3? I mean, that's under like 4 as far as
I don't think there's
ERA?
one with the Rockies under 5, maybe even 6. That's how bad it is.
Well, we're about
But
to
your
find
bottom
out.
line problem, folks, and if, for you Rocky fans out there, and maybe just people who are baseball fans and just like a good game of baseball, the problem you're seeing here with the Rockies is when you have an owner who's not invested in winning and doesn't care, then how do you fully expect the players to care? Why would they? Pride only goes so far. At some point, regardless of how much you, the person, may want to win and may go out there to win, if you're playing a 162 game season, you've played 59 games and you've lost 50 of those 59 games, even the player with the most resilient mentality is going to eventually say, hey, what are we doing and why am I still trying?
Kyle Freeland is the
What's he
top
at?
ERA for them, 5.19.
So he's still not under 5. Not under 5. Your best pitcher is not under, almost at 6.
He's at 5.19. Sensatella 6.68. Herman Marquez 7, and Dollander is 6.26.
And he's a guy they brought in recently. They brought him up just because he was their next best option, and he struggled. You
Yeah,
know,
because well, they have Gordon. Gordon, who looks like he's barely getting into the rotation. He's at 4.24. He hasn't had enough games. But they have Blaylock, who was hit 12.94 ERA.
See, I will say this till the day you and I are probably gone, and I'm talking gone, folks, gone, no longer here. This is how bad I think it is for the Rockies because it's not the roster per se. Yes, they're not the best. The managers they bring in are not the best. But here's the problem. Until the Mumfords relinquish ownership of this team and have no say in it whatsoever. I mean, let it go, sell it outright. Don't retain a percentage of it. Don't retain, controlling interest. They literally step away from this franchise and allow somebody to come in, maybe the Walmarts, let them buy them. Until this guy steps down, the Rockies are doomed. They made the
I agree.
2007 World Series by mistake. They weren't that good. They
Whoa,
weren't that
no,
good.
I won't. I won't say that they weren't.
No,
that.
but
We swept the divisional
They
and the
weren't
wild
that
card.
good, bud.
We beat the Phillies that had Ryan
They-
Howard and Hutley
they
and all
weren't
those guys,
that good.
and the Diamondbacks. They swept, but they swept them.
But
Now,
it still came
I don't
down,
care.
bud.
I don't care who. I'll tell you. I don't care if the no, but I'm saying I don't care if the Phillies or Diamondbacks come out. Nobody was touching the Red Sox. Nobody that year. In those sets, nobody was touching. But the thing is, I can see if we went Game 5, Game 7, and we just pulled it out. We swept. We swept to get to the World Series.
It still came down to a call that remains to this day in question. That was he
Oh, to
saved
get to
or
from the
not?
Padres in the Padres game.
Yeah,
for the
and
game
whatever, safe, not
163.
safe. The call was made, so you go with it.
But still,
And,
but
well,
they
nobody
proved that they
was
needed to
beating
be
the
there,
Red Sox.
though.
Nobody.
But they proved that they needed to be. They went in and swept. They swept to
My
get
point
to
is
the
this, like,
series.
I just don't think that roster was built intentionally.
Well,
to-
no, of course it
That's
wasn't.
what I'm
But
saying, but
but
did they
but
deserve
look
to
at
be
but
there?
look at the
Sure,
20.
they
But
made
look
it.
at the 2015 Royals.
Oh,
That
yeah,
team
yeah.
wasn't built. They built it through the farm system, and they were just a great
And that's
team
the other problem.
that was all around.
See, and that's the other problem. The Rockies have no farm system. They're not one aspect of their organization shows a positive. It makes no sense, and this has to go back to the ownership because they're not insisting on anything at all.
I don't know what they do. I really don't know what they do.
Awful.
I mean it. I don't. I can't. I mean we. And the sad part is we've had so many great ball players come through
Yeah.
Colorado. We've had a lot of great ball players.
Hall of Fame ball players.
I mean, when we first started, we had Walker, we had Bichette, we had Burks, we had
Galarraga,
Galarraga,
this
we
goes
had
on and
all
on
these
and
guys
on.
as far as in there. the thing is and if you think about, and I'm going to start saying names, but going into them, we had Story, we had Tulo, we had Arenado, we had Helton, we had. But the key thing here, where's the pitching?
Yep. That's it. And
The best pitcher in our entire franchise is probably Aaron Cook. And if you look up Aaron Cook's numbers, they weren't stellar.
And
he has to be the best pitcher.
If it's all about altitude and no pitcher can succeed at altitude ever consistently.
What does it matter? They only care about these guys that can throw 100 miles an hour. It's not about the breaking ball anymore.
Exactly. But why don't you potentially go back to, then go back to it. Why don't you apply this philosophy then? And you and I talked about this with your dad recently. Why does it have to be about throwing the hardest?
Because that's what it is. It's just This is where sports is. Folks, this is where sports is. In the NBA, if you can shoot a three, you're on a team. If you're in the MLB and you can throw 103, you're going to make a team. If you can hit 50 home runs, you're on a team. We don't care that you bat 220 and strike out 250 times. If you can put that ball over the fence 50 plus times, we're going to sign you. If you can throw that ball across that plate 100 miles an hour plus, we're signing you.
Yep.
Nothing else matters. If you can shoot a ball, if you're about 32% and you can make your shot about 30, we're gonna put you in.
Yep. And it doesn't work. The math
And
doesn't
we're gonna
work.
sign you. Look at Juan Soto. We're gonna give you millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to strike out for us 250 times, but we're gonna watch you hit that ball over the fence 400 times, and then we're gonna only see you. But every time you come up, he's either going to hit it out or he's going to strike out. That's terrible. And his defense is garbage. He's a terrible defender. I've seen that guy get a ball hit, and I've seen him trot to the damn ball.
And you know
not on a full sprint.
You know what's hysterical, bud? Is he's unhappy with this new. He's unhappy.
He's unhappy. Oh, you're unhappy in New York. You went from one New York team to another and thought, I'm going to be. The Mets are worse than the Yankees.
And you're unhappy with $700 million. You're unhappy that you have this, and that's just what you're unhappy about. Yeah, and this goes back to, again, and I watched this. I read about this with Ichiro, and they're monitoring his progress towards pitching. You know what I thought about that? I thought about this, and I know Kershaw's on his way out because age and everything else and injuries. But, you're the Dodgers. So, and I thought about this. Why potentially... You won the World Series last year, and Ichiro didn't pitch. Why are you so?
Oh, you mean Ohtani, not Ichiro?
I'm Ichiro. I'm sorry. I'm thinking. Sorry, folks. Ohtani. So you won it last year with Ohtani, and he had all these issues where he couldn't pitch. But yet this year, you're insisting that we're going to monitor his progress and see if we can get him out there as soon as possible. Why don't you just continue to benefit from his hitting? You've got the team built to win another World Series. Let him come back next year, fully recovered, and then just get him back out there on the mound. I don't think you need to insist upon this right now. It's not absolutely necessary. You've got the team you have. Just let it go. He can hit. Just let it go for the rest of the season. I mean, and for what? So, it's like I joked with you and your dad about one day,
see, and this is the thing. You hit it on the head because people are already trying to say that let's put Ohtani in this GOAT debate now. Getting better than Babe. How can he be better than Babe Ruth? He hasn't pitched.
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched for the Dodgers. We've seen what he did in LA. Fine. What did he win though in the Angels? I'll wait. What did he win? How many rings did he come out with in LA? How many winning seasons did they have in LA? I'll wait. Yeah. Then he goes to the Dodgers. He hasn't pitched. But you want to put him with Babe Ruth? Babe Ruth played how many years? And he pitched for how many years of his career?
Look how productive he was with two different teams. And
you want to put him already above him. And he hasn't pitched. He hasn't pitched for the Dodgers, really. But where would you like me to say that he deserves? You brought up, even though you mistaken it, you brought, where? Show me an Ichiro in the MLB too. I'll wait for that also. A guy that hits 300 plus for average, who will give you, he may not light up the home runs with 50, but he can give you 15 to 20 if he has to home runs. He's going to get over 100 RBIs, and he's going to give you 40-plus stolen bases on top of throwing guys out from the outfield, on top of making plays in the outfield and defense. Where are those players in the MLB?
I joked with you and your dad, bud, recently because I said, the Rockies just brought in their newest pitching. They just added their newest pitcher to the roster staff, and it was a pitching machine. And I said the only requirement basically is all he's got to do is be able to pitch, 3 innings once every 2 weeks. Because basically, back to your point, bud, this is where we're at. You come out, you throw it as hard as you can for 3 innings, and then we move you out, and then we bring in the next guy for 2 innings.
There's no longevity here.
There's no Nolan Ryan. There's no Babe Ruth. There's none of these people.
These pitchers do not go past the 7th inning. They don't. Starters, it's very rare that you see a starter go past the 7th inning.
Yeah, you get 90 pitches out of them, and it's a great day. And and again, people say, "Oh, here we go, Mike and Anthony going back to the old school crap." Folks, well, partly that's part of what the podcast is about. But to your point, we go back to that sometimes, regardless of the sport, because we're talking about what individuals, male or female, sometimes displayed as to what they had to do to accomplish what they did, playing through injury, playing extra minutes, throwing extra innings. All that type of stuff. This is what you were built to do, and people say, well, you don't have to anymore. Well, that's a detriment. I mean, you've got all this technology now that supposedly makes you better than ever, and you're twice as big and you're twice as strong as the athlete from 50 years ago or 40 years ago, yet you need load management to get through your basketball season. Guys coming out of college and football now are hurt in training camp when they were never injured in the college, which I never understand, and yet suddenly they develop all these injuries, and I'm like, well, where's your medical staff at then? Aren't you supposed to be preparing these guys?
Well, here's my thing: if somebody wants to come and say, well, I go back, okay, I'll go back to those. You want to talk about people that still throw hard back there? Randy Johnson. Show me Randy Johnson. Yes, he could hit 100 if he wanted to, but guess what? He knew when he needed to hit that. He also threw in a slider. The slider was 80-something miles an hour. He knew where to throw that. Greg Maddux didn't have to throw 100 miles an hour. He was between 90 to 93 on a fastball. Okay? He had a split. He had all these other things and you hit the corners. Okay? Show me these players. I brought up Ichiro. Show me a player that's an Ichiro then. Go ahead. Show me that. Then I'll say, okay, cool. You can't. You cannot find me an Ichiro in the MLB right now. It's not going to happen.
Where's your Ichiro?
You can show me certain things. You can go ahead and show me a speedster that gets 50-plus stolen bases, but what's his average? Oh, he probably bats 200. So it's rare he gets on, but when he does, he'll steal them, fine. Yeah. But Ichiro, year in and year out, batted over 300, got over 100 RBIs, got 40-plus stolen bases a year. Every year, not just 1 year when it was like, oh, you know what, it's contract time, I need to start stepping up, put up your numbers now, and then you get your 100 million plus, and then come back.
That's exactly it. See, like Bud said, that this is the problem with athletics, folks. It's the long ball, it's the long shot, it's all these things. It's everything that sports shouldn't be about. There's no desire or urgency to improve your game per se.
Even the NFL. Everybody, well, it's a passing league now. We don't want to see run. We don't want to see the ball ran. Yeah. Denver used to live off the run. Shanahan had one of the greatest. I mean, for a time frame that once he got TD, he put in that system, and that was why I think a lot of people have tried to say, well, maybe TD didn't deserve Hall of Fame, whatever it may be, short term plus, but because after everybody started, Portis, Bell, Anderson, all these running backs just started going nuts in his system, but it was a great system, and it won games. What's wrong with running the ball? Who cares? As long as you win the game. Good old Herm Edwards, right? You play to win the game. That's what you do. You play to win. And if it means handing the ball off to a couple of running backs, 70% of the time you throw 30%. Oh, wow. Why is it just because they say it's a passing league, now you got to just throw?
Yeah. And why
Now
is
it's a 3-point league. You got to jack up 73s.
it doesn't matter if you're down 15 or you're down 3 points. Let's go down and let's launch a three. Let's at no time attempt to work it inside and cut the lead possibly from 3 down to 1, and we'll just come back and see. There's none of this left to that. Is we got to tie it now, or we got to take the lead now, or we got to come up to the plate and we got to hit it as far as we can, as deep as we can, because
see,
that's
this
what
is-
matters.
But this is where we go back. This is where the All-Star game. You want to see home runs? Okay, go to the home run derby.
That's exactly it.
You want to
That's
see
exactly it.
threes? Go to the All-Star game. See the 3-point contest then.
And Bud, why is it? And this to your point again. I'm not knocking the Rockies here, folks, but let's get real.
I'm knocking the Rockies.
No,
I
and
am.
it's
This
not
is
just-
terrible. I'm tired of it.
Rockies. No, but so to the All-Star thing, folks, and it's not just the Rockies. It could be any team. I'm sorry, baseball, for whatever reason, feels like you have to have one person represented from every team.
I like that though.
I disagree with it.
I
Bud,
think so.
because
No, I
it's
like it.
the guy
No,
that's earned the
because-
right to be there.
But here's the thing is,
There's no Rocky that should be in the All-Star game. There's none. And there's a guy somewhere on some team in the National League that should be in that spot, and he won't get it because they have got to have somebody represented. That's ridiculous.
okay. Here's my thing. Okay, maybe I like it, but here's maybe this should be the rule. Maybe hear me out on this. Maybe if it's in your city, you should at least get somebody. You should at least get one. Okay.
Sure.
Because think about it. Even if you're a young kid, okay, you're a fan of the team. They may suck. Say you know, Nolan, my boy,
Yeah.
5 years old. He loves the Rockies, and we go to the All-Star game. Dad, where's our Rocky player at? Well, we don't have one because they suck. You know what I mean? If it comes here to come, at least give us one. Then, if it's in your state, if it's in your city at that point in that year, okay, give them one.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
that
agree
should be the
with
rule.
that.
That should be the rule. At least give somebody, so it gives the fans somebody to cheer about when they come in and say, all right, hey, we got to. Oh, I can live with that. I get what you mean about. Because you're right. The closest person I think that deserves an All-Star would be Hunter Goodman. He's the closest one. He leads us in average, home runs, and RBI. I think he's 280. He's batting 280. He's got 10 home runs and like 30-something RBIs. He leads us in all the stats. So if you're going to pick somebody, it's got to be him because he leads in everything. And the sad part is he's a catcher. I mean, your catcher is leading you in everything, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been tremendous catchers Salvador Perez is there, Johnny Bench is another. I mean, Jorge Posada at one point in time, he played with great Yankees. He was still good. There's catchers that can do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here hating on the catcher's point. But for that team, there should be better players than Hunter Goodman leading in everything.
Yeah, and they're the only one of the four majors that does that with their All-Star game. But the flip side of that is like if you look at the NFL, I mean, sometimes they get so carried away with the teams that are successful, like the Philadelphias and the Kansas Cities that these guys dominate. They got like 8 guys in the Pro Bowl, and I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, just because they went to the Super Bowl, suddenly they've got 8 guys that deserve to be in. No, they don't. That's just part
But it's because a lot of these other guys, they get it, and then they're like, I don't want to play. So then they just pick somebody else. And
That's
it's like,
interesting.
so see, here's the thing. Why not just give it? These guys obviously don't consider it a big thing. They don't care. They get named to the All-Star, and they're like, well, instead of getting, they're sitting here. Well, we would just rather just chill. We'd rather just get the time off. So it's not even an accolade anymore to get an All-Star appearance.
They make so
It means
much
nothing
money,
to these
basically.
guys.
They make so much money that, one, to your point, they don't care about the fact that they were voted to the Pro Bowl. Secondly, the money that they're offered, whether you win or lose, you get paid for it. They make so much money.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Crap.
They should just get rid of all All-Star games. I'm sorry, they should.
They should, bud.
And maybe they should just keep like the first days and stuff, because I still don't mind. I mean, maybe they can find something else. Like the dunk contest is gone, but I don't mind the 3-point. I love watching the 3-point. It takes skills to do the 3-point contest. You know what I mean? And even the skills competition wasn't great. Chris Paul found a way to get past that whole entire thing. Like he didn't. It's like, dude, I get you found a loophole, but that doesn't mean you do it. Just still put on a show for the fans, bro. You know, and in the All-Star game I still like the celebrity softball thing. I think that's tremendous. I love how they do that. And the home run derby's a hit still, man. Who does? Like I said, that's why these guys get signed for the long ball. But in the end, that's what people love. I mean, I bet if you go and you sat around and you 500 actual baseball fans, what's your favorite part of the All-Star game? It's the home run derby. They're not going to say the actual game. They're not going to talk about the softball game. It's the home run derby.
It goes back to when McGwire and Sosa were doing their whole home run, record-setting thing, and they had that slogan, "Girls love the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball."
They don't care about Maddox and those guys talking about but it's about the long. It's the sexy part of.
But see, here's the other thing.
People love.
Those guys were proud to be in that.
Yeah.
They were proud to be in. McGwire wanted to show off. Griffey wanted to show off. Sosa wanted to show off. They were proud to be in the home run derby.
Yeah.
Then you go and look at the dunk contest. This dunk contest could be. You could go get Anthony Edwards. You could go get some of these all-star players and say, get 4 of you guys. And show up to the dunk contest and show us what you got. You got guys that don't even get playing. They get like 6 minutes of playing time throughout the season doing the dunk contest.
What does it really say about your league when basically you have a street baller who wins your dunk competition? That's basically that's what you have.
It's true. I don't know. That's what I said.
What does that say about your showcase event?
Barb, what does that tell you about the players' mentality now? Jordan did it.
Yeah.
Kobe did it. Yeah. Vince Carter did it.
It was an honor. It was an obligation.
They all did slam dunk contest at one point in time. Why can't these guys do it? LeBron has never stepped. He's been at the slam dunk and he's gone on an interview and said, "I'll be here next year." Yep. They ain't never seen him.
No.
Anthony Edwards, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why can't these guys get into the dunk contest? Why won't they do it?
Wouldn't you think if you had that type of talent and you had that skill set, regardless of what you did with it, wouldn't part of you say, man, I wonder if I could top what those guys did, in a dunk competition?
Mike, if you got the schedule, okay, and you got the list, okay, and your list, slam dunk contest, and it read LeBron, Anthony Edwards, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't know who else is a big dunker. I don't know. I can't think of like a big Donovan Mitchell, right? Yeah. You've seen all 4 of those names. You're gonna tune in, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're going to tune in. Then you look at this other, and you're like, "Who's that? He plays for who? Wait, that guy. I haven't seen him play." And you're pulling it up on ESPN. He hasn't played a game yet this year, but he's in the dunk contest. But you're telling you got those 4 names, right? You just Mitchell, Edwards, Braun, and Giannis. Oh, I want to see this. Oh, I want to see what these guys show because it's the name. Jordan, Wilkins, names are on there. Didn't matter who the other ones were. We're gonna see a show. I'm tuning in. What are these 2 gonna do?
You did this when you were young. I did this when I was young. Your dad did too. I can remember getting out in the street, and we would play football games, pickup games, that type of thing. It could be a 2-on-2. It could be 5-on-5, whatever it was. No accolades. There's nobody basically watching. Maybe somebody's friends are sitting there drinking something, but they're watching if they are. But what was the bottom line point to it all was that you wanted to win. And you didn't want the person across from you to beat you doing it. Mm-hmm. You wanted to win. So my point is, I guess, I don't know. I maybe you make so much money that you lose interest. I don't know. But you lose so much interest that at some point they reduce what you do to a flag competition. And I understand there's a lot of contact in the Pro Bowl. There was. But still, you didn't. And I know the season is long. I get it, but at no point you just didn't feel like you
You
still
play
wanted to go out there.
football. What you
You,
didn't
you
think you were
didn't
gonna
want
get hit?
to. You didn't want to line up across from the guy next to you, and you didn't care that he was going to beat you or he was going to roast you. Vice versa. Let's just go out there and let's just see you score 800 points.
Nobody
And who
wants to
cares?
lose. They don't want to lose. So what it is it those guys back then, like you said, they had a different mentality. They wanted To wanted to line up against, you know,
Ray
Darrell Revis
Lewis
and
would
say
knock your ass
Ray
out.
Lewis wanted,
He would knock your ass out.
well, that's what I'm saying. But somebody like Adrian Peterson wanted to get handed off to go after Ray Lewis and say, all right, one on one. You take me out? Oh, wow, you take me out. If I break your ankles, Ray Lewis can get up and say, hey, you got me, man. That was the point of the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
It's
and
because
I
all of
don't
those guys, those 11 guys, defense and offense, they're the best ones you've seen all year long. So if you got beat, oh, wow. That's the number one running back in the league. Or you get lit up, that's the greatest linebacker in the league right now. So
And
what?
so,
He got me.
so you go from that, and as an athlete, and I guess like you said, bud, this goes back to like you remind me. That's their mindset, regardless of the sport. But my thing is, so you go from the guys that you guys watched growing up, full contact, and you're okay. You as the athlete are okay that the guys you watched growing up and wanted to emulate, but you're now okay that somebody straps two flags to your waist and you race around out there.
It's because they don't do it for the fans anymore. It's
Yeah.
not about the fan. They don't care about us. These players, they do not care about the fans that watch this game anymore. They care about themselves. They care about their pockets. They care about just their own selves. I think Kobe said it one time. He told his wife one time he was hurt or something. She said, why don't you sit out game? Go because somebody might be here to watch me play.
In the cheap seats. In the
Somebody
raffle
might
seats.
be showing up to watch me play, and I'm not going to let that ruin. These guys don't care.
They do not
They don't
care.
give a damn.
They do.
They don't care one bit. They could care less about the. That's why they don't do it. They are not about the fans. They're not. That's why they travel. That's why they go from team to team to team because they don't care that they were loyal. That those fans that were loyal to them, in Miami, I don't care. Boston's willing to give me $40 million more. I'm gonna go over here now.
And
Why?
like you said, that family that shows up to see this guy play and he sits out because he doesn't feel like it.
They just
That was
don't
that
care.
family's only chance to come see you. They got all this
They don't
money
care.
together and
They-
they saved and did all this just to come see you play, and then you just opt out and
the
you don't
mentality is
care.
different. The mentality is
And
different.
it
It's a
just pushes
different
aside
mentality.
everybody's, and ownership doesn't care because it's all about making a buck.
That's
And
exactly what it is. It's just
it's
we're
really
in
sad.
we're in a
It's
time frame where the players just don't care about the fan. You have certain players, yes, that do. I'm not saying the whole
Yeah, you
NBA,
always have
but
those.
it's very lopsided. It's more of like an 80-20 now, where more 80% of the players just don't care. There's 20 out there that still do though, that still will play for the fans. That'll still go out there and give you, 110%. There's a handful still that still do it. You watch them. There's still some that you see that have passion for it, but it's not as much as you used to.
Yeah.
And there's the loyalty. The loyalty is just not there. I mean, you could go in and it didn't matter what sport, right? Didn't matter what sport. It can be even hockey, right? Every single year you'd go back, season would end, you'd come back the next year. You knew at least 80% of the roster. You may lose somebody to retirement, or you may lose somebody to free agency possibly, or something like that, or just somebody that just wasn't playing well, you got rid of them. But you knew the core was there. I brought up Utah, right? You knew Karl Malone and John Stockton were going to be there every year. Hornacek was going to be right there with them. Jordan with the Bulls, Pippen with the Bulls. You go to Detroit. There's Isaiah, there's Joe Dumars. They're going to still be there. You know what I mean? They're not sitting here like, oh, man, Jordan got us. Jordan got, Carl, Jordan got us. Man, I really want a ring, man. I'm going to go to Chicago. Sorry, John. But, dude, I really want to get that ring before I go. Look at Charles Barkley. He got killed by Jordan in the finals. He could have went and been like, he had no reason. I mean, he didn't have it. I mean, he went in Philly. He went to Philly. He could have easily said, let me just go to Chicago. I can get a ring finally. But no, I want to beat them. I don't want to join them. I want to beat them. Like, you don't think Charles sits here every single day and is just like, man. Hey, I mean, I know it hurts. Like, they have fun with this still. I know it's a joke for them, but you know it hurts them every time Shaq brings up the no rings. Kenny Smith has 2. And Charles Barkley is a far superior player than him.
Yeah.
And Kenny's got 2. You don't think it hurts him? You don't think Karl Malone and John Stockton don't sit up every single day thinking to themselves, because wish I got a ring. Reggie Miller is trying to win a ring without being a part of, without playing for Indiana. If they win this, that's a ring for him. Who cares? He doesn't care. These guys, these were great players that just said, I'm going, and I'm talking, these are players that, and the reason I bring up those guys because they were loyal. Now, I get Carl went off to L.A. later on and played at the fine, but that was way past his part. Jordan went and played at the Wizards, but he didn't do anything. But Reggie stayed in Indiana. Stockton stayed in Utah. Malone was in Utah. Isaiah was in Detroit forever. Joe Dumars stayed in Detroit. These are all players that stuck around. And even if they lost, they said, well, we got to rebuild. We got to rebuild again. Get some players in free agent or just get better. We just got to get better.
You know, and a guy like Chuck, you know, I mean, Shaq can sit there and he can throw the ring thing in his face if he wants to. And, you know, and Charles came in on the back end of Julius's career and those type of things.
I wasn't getting carried by D-Wade and Kobe.
He came on the back end of Julius Erving and Moses Malone, you know, when he was in Philadelphia. And then he sort of took the reins after that. And then he transitioned out and he went a couple places. But, you know, he never had the Kobe Bryant talent next to him like Shaq did. He never had the D-Wade talent like Shaq's had down in Miami. You know, and
his best team he had was that Suns team, literally.
Yeah,
but the thing is who did he run into? Jordan. And see, that's what I'm saying. And people want to discredit Jordan and say, oh, he didn't play anybody. Jordan held a lot of people from winning a ring.
He didn't
don't get me wrong. Gary Payton ended up winning a ring, I believe, later on with Miami or whatever it was, LA, whoever you want. But in his prime, Gary didn't win a ring because of Jordan. Stockton Malone didn't win a ring because of Jordan. Clyde Drexler didn't win a ring because of Jordan. Charles didn't win a ring because of Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, he killed a lot of people's hopes and dreams. And he was proud of it. He was proud of it.
I mean, think about, and even we can go further back. Let's stay out. Let's go into the 80s. People could have went to Boston. They had McHale and Bird and Parrish. They could have went to Lake Show and joined Johnson and Kareem and Worthy and all them, right? But no, what did what did the Pistons do? Pistons stuck with their team, and what did they do? They won 2.
Yeah.
Back to back against all those great teams.
Yeah, and they lost.
Back to back against those great teams.
Well, and they lost their first one to the Lakers, and then they came back and they won back to backs. Because they stayed together and they worked at it as a team. They didn't transition.
Some of those old Milwaukee teams with Moncrief and these guys. Do you think Sidney Moncrief's tremendous basketball player, Hall of Famer?
Oh, fantastic! One of my favorites with the Bucks.
Why didn't he finally think? You know, there's no way we're gonna beat Boston. I can't get past Boston. I can't go against the Lakers. Why don't I just go join them? No, I'm sticking to Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I'm staying here.
That's why you loved Kobe, you know, and it's a transition out of the 80s and into the 90s and the 2000s because you loved the Kobes, you loved the Jordans because it was about building what you knew you had and adding to it, you know, and not just going off and chasing things just to get some ring.
Exactly.
You were trying to build something.
But we credit and we credit and we King James this because for what?
Yeah, and
he's been through how many different teams?
Yeah, and he's like 41.
The main GOAT discussions. These guys are in the GOAT discussions, right? And I'm talking. I mean, I'm not talking how everybody just throws anybody's name out there. I'm talking about the main people that are in discussion: Kareem, Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. Those are the main guys that everybody talks about.
Yeah. In
the GOAT discussion, right? Kobe never left LA. Jordan left at the end of his career, but we know why he went to Washington. Yeah. Kareem started out in Milwaukee, got a championship for them, then went to LA and never left again.
You know,
and LeBron has been through Cleveland to Miami to back to Cleveland to the Lakers. He just keeps going and going and going.
And so, and a little caveat to that thing about, Jordan and the Wizards, but, and I didn't realize this till recently. Part of the stipulation for the organization, the owners of the Hornets agreeing to sell majority interest to Jordan at the time, he had to agree to come play for them. It was either for one, it was definitely for one season, possibly two. That was part of the stipulation. He had to agree to. People will say, well, look, he went, he just didn't know when to quit. No, it was literally part of his contractual agreement with the owners of the Hornets that he had to go to if they were going to sell to him. And he still went out and produced, but it wasn't a demand.
But he wasn't going out there talking about, oh, well, I'm going to come to Charlotte and I'm going to bring not one, not two, not three, not four championships.
No, it was.
He already knew that it was past what he was going to do. He was past his prime. He was past all this stuff going to Washington.
And he
doing
still
all this
contributed.
stuff. And he still did well.
Yes.
He's still, at age 40, he's still averaging 23 points a game, too.
And not missing
He's
very
still
many
playing
games.
defense and this and that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And that's good. And that's great. What I don't get is how we're so okay with saying, we want to discredit Kobe for doing this and Jordan for losing this and all this and that. People that want to put LeBron. You're putting him at the top when all he's done is be a journeyman to find his rings. The Miami thing was a joke, man. I don't care what anybody says. That thing's a complete joke. I mean, that's literally like just saying Jordan should just went to the Lakers then. And put him with Kareem and them in the 80s. Just say, put Jordan in LA with Magic and Kareem, and there's your three.
And basically, and granted, they won two, but they lost their first one. But you three guys collectively, and the other nine or whatever it was at the time, whatever constituted an entire roster, but at least nine other guys. You had LeBron, you had Bosh, and you had Wade, but yet collectively, the super team that was going to win 7 championships, you could not take down one singular person, basically, in Dirk Nowitzki.
You're going right where I was going to go, because I was going to sit here and say, now, I have nothing wrong with people saying that LeBron had tough teams in the final. Yes, he did play some. He played Golden State with KD in there. Yeah. That's a tough team. His run to get to the finals, though, that East was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I'm going with this is he got all the way to the finals, right? Show me who had a tougher road, him or Dirk, in that 2011. Or is that right? 2011, whatever. Dirk had to go through OKC with KD and Russ and them. Then he had to go through the Lakers, right? Was it Lakers or whatever, to get through them with Kobe. Then he had to go through San Antonio with Duncan and all them, to then meet Miami with the super team in the finals and beats them.
Yep.
And you want to put LeBron as the GOAT?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And now I'm not saying that Dallas team was garbage, because they were good.
No, they wouldn't have been there. They
were a good team. They were just a really good team. They were a really good team. They weren't spectacular, great. You rank, if you're ranking all-time finals, teams, like just the team alone, just looking at paper, they're middle of the pack.
Yeah.
They're not going to be in the top 10. They're not top 5. They're not number 1, that Mavs team. Just the team alone. Now, the run, you got to put them at the top 5. If you're talking about the run itself, everything that led to it, who they beat, yeah. But if you're just looking at the team, the roster and stuff, you probably think, they probably made the playoffs. That was about it. Maybe first round, maybe second round knockout. Not to run through the West and then go and have to play that super team and beat them too.
You know what's also sad to me, Bud, and this I have to speak about Kobe for a second. You and I talk about this periodically. We share videos and we share our thoughts and what we liked about the NBA. But with Kobe, you and I, and your dad too, but you and I respectively, we've always as much as we give Kobe his accolades for what he did on the court, we have always talked about the Mamba mentality, but that extended off the court and how you conduct
Oh
yourself,
yeah,
and how you can
yeah, for
accomplish
sure.
things. And it really disappoints me, and I know you're aware of this too. It disappoints me that now, regardless of what I'm hearing, wherever they attempt to put murals of him and his daughter,
I know, and they get
they go in and
destroyed.
they throw graffiti on this. You're disparaging a person who accomplished so much in his personal life away from the court and the examples he set for what you can accomplish through a certain mentality, and how you
It's
approach,
just a different time frame, Mike.
and
Unfortunately,
yet you
we're
just go out and
a
you
lot
feel it's
more
okay.
disrespect. The generation now is just more disrespectful. There's just no respect for legends like that. Um, it, and I'm sure it's somebody that has no clue what basketball is. I bet you any money it's just some random ass kid who's just out there just being dumb, who doesn't care, who
And see,
just
but that lends
it's just what it
itself to,
is.
but that kind of lends itself, and this is what I'll end it with for me, folks, is that lends itself back to what we were just sort of talking about, and like you've reemphasized during this podcast, that the mentality of fans now too is not one of educating themselves on greatness. They 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 educate and they like what really doesn't take the most to accomplish.
Yeah,
They want the sexy, they don't want the grit and grind of what
you're
it
right.
takes to be great. They just want the sexy results.
No, it's
And if
true.
you're not
You're
doing
absolutely right.
that, if you're not doing that, then you're not great.
Yeah,
So
no, hundred
if you
percent.
don't want to invest a moment or two, like Anthony and I talk about, this is part of what we've always talked about with this podcast is it's not Anthony and I just sitting here throwing accolades to 40 and 50 years ago and 20 years ago with these guys. It's about the work ethic that they put in. It's how hard, they went at what they did, what they overcame to get to those points in their lives, in sports, and for some of them, what they accomplished off the court, off the field. But it was about what it took to get there. They didn't have things given to them. They had to go out and take it and work for it. And I don't think fans fully understand that anymore. And that's why Anthony and I try to also remind everybody it's not just what you do on the field, it's what it takes to get to that result. And so for all you young kids out there who are investing in today's ball player, I don't care the sport, if you could just take a second and look at what they do or don't do, but also reflect back or look back at somebody's videotape, and it doesn't have to be Jordan, it could be somebody else, but it's what they put into it, a Dirk Nowitzki. These are individuals and females as well that overcame a lot to get to where they were. It wasn't given to them. So
Yeah,
if you could just
no, for
remind yourself
sure,
of that there's a lot that goes
definitely.
into greatness. It's not the easy part of it. It's the grit and grind that
Yeah,
got them where they were.
no, for sure, for sure, for sure. Well, folks, I mean, we were able to get us a couple hours in for you guys. Sorry it wasn't what we normally do. Obviously, we've got this going back up. That was our biggest thing is making sure to get back up here for you guys because I know it's been a
Yeah,
few
this
weeks.
was on borderline
Few
Mission
weeks, almost a
Impossible
month.
here.
I
The way it
know,
was looking.
Jesus Lord. So sorry, it's not what it used to look like, what it should be. We'll get back into that for sure. We're gonna get into a lot more stuff. Like I said, Mike and I want to, definitely get more into some NFL talks, things like that. Obviously, we're gonna keep an eye on this finals going on. This is kind of exciting. I know it kind of sucks because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are enjoying the final. From what I understand, it was the least viewed game one of a finals ever. From what I heard. That could change. I mean, Halliburton with him, I mean, it might have been one of those things where we talked about where people might have thought that OKC probably is going to dominate. So it was more like, nah, just kind of keep track, but let's see. Now that Hallie's hit that game winner again, I wouldn't be surprised if game two they spike up a little more because people
I'll
are
tell
gonna
you
kind
what,
of be
bud.
interested to see.
That has me concerned because if this winds up being a ratings flop, that just means that Silver and the league will conspire in every single way possible to rig every single lottery
Well, and
from
I hate that
forward.
though. I hate it because we always say it too is unless it's our team, but we always say we don't mind when it's teams that haven't been there in a while. I'm not a fan of watching the Lakers play Boston every single year. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see LeBron in the finals again. Nor the Boston going in there every single year. I don't mind that it's the Pacers and OKC. I didn't
enjoyed
mind
seeing-
that Dallas won in 2011 over Miami, and not just
enjoyed
because it was
watching-
the super team.
I
just
enjoyed watching the Kansas City Royals win the World Series. I really did.
yes.
I did.
But see, that's
I
what happens in
agree.
the MLB. There's always a team that somehow, some way, just out of nowhere sneaks in. You know, just kind of sneaks by, and you know, you may have a year where the Dodgers go ahead and win it, the Yankees may have pulled it off, but then somebody else always sneaks in, like a Royals team or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Hockey has
a
bunches of-
Braves team goes further than you expected them to be. You know, there's always something different. I mean, I don't want to
Hockey-
see this all the time. You know, the football, Kansas City's always there. I don't want to see that. No, that's fine. I mean, if they're good, what are you supposed to do? If you can't beat them, then fine. I mean, that's what happens. They're just a great team. They keep, but because you see that it's OKC and now you just don't want to watch it because the Lakers are. Most people aren't even fans of those teams. They just pull them because it's the two teams. You got to see what happens there. Why can't you do the same thing for these guys? Why can't you sit there and tune in and watch these ones?
Hockey
No,
has-
and I'm even talking to myself. As I even said, I haven't watched either. Maybe I should. Maybe I should sit there and watch it a little bit more because I don't mind seeing something like this. Do I care for either team? Do I care? This is what makes it even better, folks. Have fun with it then. If these ain't your two teams, then just watch and see what the hell happens. It might be pretty exciting. It makes it funner, right? When you don't have a team that you could care less, it probably makes the game funner to watch because you could care less. He fouled him. Oh, wow. That's kind of... Or you see him hit a big shot. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, my God. These fans are mad. Now you're watching these fans. You have fun with it then. It's not your team that you get angry about because they didn't get the call. You just sit there like, oh, that's crazy. You have fun with it then at that point. So maybe I'm even talking to myself now saying I need to jump on and start watching. Maybe I'll watch, game 2 next.
Yeah, I mean, hockey has all types of teams that are mediocre.
Hockey's different, though. I mean, we
Anaheim
can watch
Mighty
hockey
Ducks,
at any
Buffalo
point in time.
Sabres.
Hockey's
Nashville,
always great.
all these-
Hockey's great. I don't care what anybody says.
They-
Come to
they-
playoff
they-
hockey. I don't care who's in there. I'll watch it. If it's on, I'm
Yeah.
watching it. I'll put it on.
All the markets have a chance. It's not just the big cities that get a chance to do everything. And so that is disappointing me. I thought maybe the Indiana Oklahoma City series would do better than that. That's disappointing to me that you're telling me this.
We'll see. We'll see what the ratings are. I think they'll spike up a little bit more, but for sure, folks. But we appreciate you guys. Please tune in. We're gonna try to get back to this. We are changing it up. I know we back and forth on a few things, but we do want to start doing this on a Sundays. We're changing it up from the Saturday evenings. We're gonna start doing our things on Sunday mornings or afternoon-ish time. I think we're gonna try to start getting on about 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So 1 to 3 is what we're kind of looking at on Sundays from now on. It just makes it a little bit easier for us. Hopefully a little bit easier for you guys than having to tune in a little bit later on a Saturday. I know it's a Saturday night, so a lot of you folks want to get out, enjoy, especially it's summertime now, so you can be with the kids a little bit more, things like that. So if we can, kind of, come into your living rooms on a Sunday afternoon and just, enjoy while maybe you're, cooking some lunch or just doing some laundry around the house or just hanging out or something like that. Let us know. Like I said, we're changing it up. So 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Sunday. We're changing it up. Hopefully, I can change up our entire stream and get it looking back to the way it used to for us. But we just needed to get back on here first is what our main thing was. But we're glad to be here. Happy to be back. We're glad that we're able to talk sports with you guys again. But leave us in the chat. Let us know how you guys feel about anything that we talked about today. Please let us know about anything you guys want us to keep talking about. Like I said, we know that college basketball is coming up too here real shortly. We got about another 50-something days left maybe before college starts with basketball. College baseball is going to be coming up soon. Finals, as any of you OKC fans, any of you Indiana fans, were you guys upset about anything throughout the playoffs? Please let us know in the chat. Any comments, please. But also, please remember to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. It helps us a lot more than you guys think, for sure.
Yeah, like Anthony says, folks, a lot going on again. Summertime's here. We know it's hard for people to stay indoors sometimes and do certain things, but we like talking about it all. We'll talk about anything and everything, obviously sports related, and we jump outside the box, outside sports too. But we've got a lot of things we're looking at now. We're going to be bringing those to the podcast, and again, as Anthony said, a lot of things going on coming up with football and some more basketball, down the line, that type of stuff, and but we've got baseball there and the end of basketball and football's coming up again, college and pro. But as I always like to say, and this proved itself out more so than ever, with as I always like to say, everything you see, everything you hear, graphics, vocal, all these things are not possible without this individual next to me, my left, your right, however it appears on your screen. And here with the last couple of weeks, I had issues tornado related with the computer, got it fixed, but Bud had some problems too. But it's his brilliance, it's his abilities with all that we're even talking right now. So if
We're,
nothing else proves
we're
his
gonna get it
genius,
though. We're gonna get
today it
it though.
did. So as always, my accolades and my appreciation to this gentleman next to me, Mr. Anthony
No,
Alvarez.
I appreciate it. Like I said, we'll get back to it. I mean, this was a little bit of a different one because we just had to try to get on for you guys. Our main thing is we're here for you. We're here for you, folks. It's not really about anything else. We want to be here for you guys. This is something, like Mike said, we enjoy. We just enjoy coming on here for a few hours and just talking about anything and everything. It doesn't even have to be sports related, like you said, too. I mean, we just have fun with it all. So we appreciate you guys, like I said, stopping by. Like I said, we'll be back again next Sunday. Be back again about 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So hopefully you guys are able to tune in. But like I said, once again, appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a great start to the week. And stay safe out there, folks.
Have a good day.